Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, entities of the fog. Welcome to Champions of the Fog, where today we are going to be seeing Torment versus Tremor, as Torment going to be killing against Tremor's Survivor team as the Spirit here on the Wrecker's Yard. And I'm joined here today by Hell's Taco Truck. Hell's Taco Truck, how you doing today, friend?
I'm good. I'm just like that bad ex-girlfriend. You just never seem to get rid of me. Roll by the Champions of the Fog House. See that you have the lights on. Creep on by.
Well, we're happy to have you here. That being said, Spirit still has yet to find a survivor. As far as perks are concerned, they of course have the good old Corrupt Intervention. And as far as add-ons are concerned, we see Talisman and Rusty Flute. We do hear Phase Walk over by the Renato, but don't believe the Spirit. No, the Spirit has seen them.
No, well, if he didn't know that he was there, he certainly does know after dropping that, dropping that pallet, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Survivor's definitely always a little bit itchy to either sprint a little bit early or drop pallets a little bit early. We have definitely seen them, get found because of that. But Sloppy Butcher going to get revealed here, as well as Lithe, as we do see that mingled and hemorrhage stats effect from Sloppy Butcher. And of course, Renato getting a little bit of distance from that Lithe, but not enough to avoid this down, I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough situation to be in at a filler tile. You see that you see it all the time where good players are on the filler tiles versus good killers, and it becomes an immense game of flip the coin on who's going to make it out, who's going to buy more time for gens to be done, or to get a quick down so you can get more pressure on gens. So we'll have to see where that leaves these survivors.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see the Shiva here get pushed off that gen, about 50% in. Do want to point out with Spirit kicking it, that was in fact a pop goes the Weasel, regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression. As far as other survivors are concerned, we do see Nia here kind of hanging around this corner, will take that hit from the Spirit, trying to stealth it out, but Spirit being a little bit wise to the game plan. And looks like the Nia actually going to be dragging Spirit back into a gen that the Ada is on. Ada getting forced off of the generator, getting down underneath the pallet. I imagine Spirit is aware that Ada's here, but no! Spirit going for the insta-pick, but Ada seeming to have already left the vicinity.
Man, I'll tell you that that Spirit player had just brass huevos, as we say. Because I would have been looking around. I guess that's what separates the men from the boys there. I would have been looking around wondering if there was someone nearby, but he knew, he picked it up, that game knowledge kicked in and went into overdrive, and he knew that he was safe.
Yeah, absolutely, and we did see Ada urban evasioning around a little bit there, and afforded people earlier. Ada, though, unable to avoid the Spirit, trying to urban evade again to maybe mind game the Spirit. Will kind of, but without a bounce landing. Ooh, I was thinking that they're going to take the down, but actually got the vault instead. And looks like this chase will continue, as we also did see the unhook earlier, and Ada going down on the ground.
It's always fun watching these matches, Guild. When you're going back and forth, you have the extremely skilled survivor gameplay, the skilled killer gameplay. It's going back and forth. At any moment, things could just snowball out of control. These survivors are playing it hard. They're going back and forth, saving each other, healing each other, but they're still pressuring gen slowly. And so it kind of leaves me to wonder, like, where do you see these survivors playing? Do you see them going more on the safer side, slowly going on gens, or playing it more aggressively? What do you see here?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, we see Spirit kind of spreading the pain, so survivors do have some hook states to give and are able to play around with no one currently at risk of being sent by the campfire via the entity. We even see Shiva here using their med kit to heal through their broken stats effect for the people. Renato with a life once again going to be going towards the Spirit's husk, and we see the little bit of mind gaming there from the Spirit. Renato, though, going to have to dive back in towards the middle of the map as there are no more resources here. A firecracker to try and blind the Spirit out of phase walk will successfully do so too.
No shot! It actually worked. I watched it hit and I was like, no way this actually works. No way!
And fantastic mind game there by the Renato as well there at the T-wall. However, Spirit being wise to that play will get the hit. And Renato actually sticking to the LT wall, dragging the Spirit further back into the map. But looks like Spirit actually may have dropped Chase, fearful of the progress on these other generators.
And it looks like we have a good, strong amount of pressure going on the generators right now. And with that down happening, it kind of leads me to wonder where the different generators are, how much pressure they have, because right now it looks like it's going to start snowballing into the killer's favor.
Yeah, looking more and more like that, especially as Renato's one stage away from being sent back to campfire via the entity. We do see the Shiva there in the wings, ready to unhook the Renato. However, Ada here about 75% on their gen. Spirit kind of looking around. Nia here about 75% on theirs as well. So looking for 2 gen completions, pushing these survivors closer to being able to power the exit gates. However, Spirit definitely in a commanding position right now.
Absolutely. Now, with your with how many games you've watched being played, what is your prediction on this? Where do you see this ending?
I mean, right now, unless the Shiva's able to get in here, get the unhook, and we see these survivors complete another gen pretty quickly, it's starting to look more and more like the 4K in favor of the Spirit. We do see no unbreakable there from the Shiva, meaning that survivor will have to jump off of gens in order to pick them up. We do see Renato here at Shack now, getting a little bit of distance once again from their life, trying to drag the Spirit further away from the pickup, and looks like Spirit will drop Chase again. So this is a moment where the survivors might be able to kind of reset. However, Nia taking a hit. If the Nia does go down here, I think this does secure the 4K for the Spirit, but Nia doing a good job getting the pallets done on the Spirit and avoiding that potential outcome.
You know, I almost forgot that you guys had a slight change to your game on 2 firecrackers. I was like, wait a second. I was like, I know I'm just the taco here, but I was like, I saw 2 of those fall down.
Yeah, because of the flashlights, 2 firecrackers in play. We do see that pickup on Shiva once again. Looks like we are going to see Spirit going for them. Shiva with a bold play there at the T-wall. A little bit mind gaming here from the Spirit, though. Looks like they're actually now in chase with Ada, pushing them off of the unhook, giving Shiva another chance at life here before going back up onto the hook. Once again, kind of in a similar situation as they were before. Survivors not on gens right now as they're kind of trying to set up for this unhook. We do see at least 2 survivors on gens. If they're able to hold the Spirit for long enough, there's a possibility that they do get some survivors out. And otherwise, though, about 30 seconds before Nia gets impacted campfire via the entity, I think we did see Renato hanging around here ready for the unhook. And looks like they're going to have to go in soon, though, lest the Nia gets sent back to campfire via the entity.
Absolutely. Now, with the way the point system works here in Champions of the Fog, would you say that it is in the best interest for Zappis to be healed up and then set up for the save, or to take chase, or should he be hidden to try to avoid being hooked and leave with those stages?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, and it was kind of interesting seeing there, not seeing that trade there by the Renato, and I guess for good reason. It would have been 1-for-1 trade for someone who's on death hook for someone who's on death hook, and would end up with a survivor being injured. So smart play by the survivors there, but I mean, realistically speaking, they need to just get on gens. We see Ada here at 70% on their gen, Renato trying to progress their gen there with no luck. And looks like they are kind of taking a play out of what you were saying and really just trying to hide the Shiva here, ensuring they get as many escape points as possible.
Yeah, see, that's where it comes into play with these higher skill level gameplay, is knowing who to basically stealth, when to be aggressive. If we should sacrifice that point where we know that Zappis is going to be aggressively chased and then focus on gens to pop them, that's where a lot of these tactics and game time management comes into play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Renato getting found by the Spirit here, going to go for a Vault Life, not getting the distance that they needed right away to avoid the initial hit, and if they do go down, they will be sent back to campfire via the entity. Hearing that phase wall coming in, Renato needing to get to a pallet and soon. And Renato challenging the Spirit to a mind game, and Spirit calling their bluff that there will be the secure 2K for Torment's killer. And looks like Renato will be joining the Nia over in the campfire. At this point in time, Survivor's kind of in damage control mode, trying to complete this generator in order to potentially either win off of generators completed in next trial, or to at least secure a better positioning for set number 3 in instance of a tiebreaker.
Absolutely. One of the big things here is that it's gonna. How long can this one survivor hold this killer right now? Because it's at that point where you know you're gonna die. If you know you're gonna die, do you play for hatch? Do you try to get the gen done to make it easier for your team to win the next match? Because a 4K, it's really going to come down to how they decide to play this, and this is where I'm kind of interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting, especially as we do see both survivors here actually using some really unique perks in order to try and avoid the killer here, both Urban Evasion as well as Self-Aware, allowing them to hide their scratch marks while still moving a little bit quicker. And looks like right now they are able to hide out. Spirit not finding either one.
Yeah, you know, fun fact, I just recently learned the utility of Claudette, and I am a very good person at hide and seek.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair. These survivors definitely doing a good job of, you know, stealthing out and ensuring that they do not get found here by the Spirit. I mean, Ada very quiet, especially with Iron Will in hand as well. You know, pretty much completely silent as far as them being injured. That definitely has helped them throughout this match. Spirit kind of just looking around and just not able to find anyone. I imagine that they have found the gens that they were working on and have regressed them by 2.5%, followed by 0.3% per second. Ada seemingly being found, though. Looks like it is all going to come down to the Shiva trying to complete this last generator for the sake of points. Either that, or maybe we'll see Ada try and drag the Spirit as far away as possible from the shack to potentially force or allow for a hatch escape, but kind of returning to the same position we were before, where Spirit not going to go for the down, instead trying to find the Shiva.
Honestly, it looks like they're both playing it, trying to avoid that gen being popped. One of them is trying to get it done pre-leaving. It's gonna look like looks like this is gonna go back and forth for a while until someone gives in or makes a very slight mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, we definitely saw that with the Ada getting found out, but now them being injured definitely puts them into a strong position. The gens that they were working on earlier regressed to all but nothing. And Shiva here kind of in the basement stairs trying to avoid line of sight. Survivors definitely in a rough position. They're trying to make the best of a bad scenario and are slowly but surely working on one of these 3 last generators. However, Spirit finding the Ada, and I think this is where the Spirit will commit to the chase. Ada will go down here and get hooked for it, I imagine, as they are on first stage. So progressing in the second stage will give the Spirit plenty of time to get back to the hook, or to rather get to hatch and ensure that Shiva here is unable to escape via the hatch and secure their survivor team an additional 3 points.
That's exactly, so it looks like the Shiva knows that's the way that it's going to work out. I mean, honestly, I would be probably setting up for the door knowing that killer is going to be on that hatch like nobody's business.
Yeah, but looks like Shiva kind of taking a gamble here, maybe calling the Spirit's bluff in that they are not going to be on top of the hatch, though. Looks like they might have a slight change of plans as they're going to go for the unhook on the Ada. A bit of a surprising play, but it does put them into a potentially better position as long as the Spirit does not find the Shiva. And looks like Spirit will go for the kill on Ada, trying to wait out for BT, but no. Spirit kind of sensing that there was a game plan in mind. Will drop chase of Ada, now looking around for Shiva. We'll have to wait and see if they do find them. This urban invasion definitely coming into play. Spirit looking around, just barely not able to notice a Shiva, but looks like they will finally get found, and I think this here will be one of the last few chases, as Spirit's not going to let them get away this time.
You know that they were just hoping and praying that they were gonna get seen. That, oh man, you always gotta love when the killer knows they're in that area. It's definitely a lot of fun to watch, and I'm fairly certain Shiva or Zappis is definitely just frustrated.
Oh, 1000%. And with Ada being injured, it's pretty much a lose-lose scenario. There's no way that they're able to go down and get the unhook here. They could try and set up on exit gates. There's a little bit of time, about 75 seconds before they're able to suicide out and spawn the hatch. So I imagine Spirit going to be kind of out on the prowl for Ada here. But in the meanwhile, Ada just kind of skulking about, trying to figure out what the next step in this game plan is. They're nowhere near the X gates though, so I'm not sure what their thought process is, or whether or not they've kind of resigned themselves to death.
Honestly, for me, it looks like they're trying to avoid being seen. The killer, I'm sure they're thinking that the killer's going to be patrolling those gates pretty aggressively. Then they're hoping to just stay out of view to try to have some chance at either the doors or hatch.
Yeah, I'd imagine that is in fact the case. We do see the survivor in basement, Shiva, going to be progressing to second stage about 15 seconds before they're able to suicide, missing 2 skill checks. And I think at that point, sounds like Spirit's still over by Shaq. I imagine going to be lining up for the hatch close, and Ada sees it. I mean, they don't have sprint burst or any real exhaustion perk to get there underneath them. They would have to basically force the Spirit to hit them. And now it just comes down to, does the Spirit know their hatch placement versus Ada? And looks like they do. There's the adrenaline from the hatch close. Ada trying to avoid the Spirit, but looks like they're just going to bring them down into the basement and resign themselves to death. But Spirit not going for them. Not sure what the thought process is here. Ada saying, yeah, just hook me. Not looking to go for a 1v1 here at the very end. And that there will, in fact, be the 4K for Tremor's Killer and 4 gens completed for Tremor's Survivor team. Tremor's Killer now needed to get a 4K before 4 gens are completed in order to secure the win here in set number 1, or a 4K at 4 gens completed in order to tie set number 1. All right, and we are back for trial number 2 of set number 1, where we are going to be seeing Tremor killing against Torment Survivor team, and they are going to need to get a 4K at 4 gens to tie, or a 4K at 3 gens or less in order to secure victory. And we see an early chase here for the Blight on Nicolas Cage. A little bit of mind game coming in. Nick Cage going to be dropping that pallet a little bit early. A Life coming in, getting them a little bit of extra distance. And of course, as far as the Blight is concerned, they did in fact bring a good old corrupt intervention. Looks like they did switch chases pretty quickly here over to the Nia. A bit of an unexpected shift in perspective there, but Blight kind of losing chase. Now on the Claudette instead. Blight just going back and forth between survivors nonstop, but unable to get a hit thus far. Claudette doing a fantastic job of breaking that chase and avoiding that Blighted rush. Blight, of course, bringing Blighted Crow and Blighted Rat.
I have to say, I love Ivan's skin. That's back in my day when I was in my early 20s. That's how I used to dress, and I was like, man, that brings back some memories. The glasses, the hair. Oh man, those were the days.
Absolutely. And looks like first gen popping off here. Blake kind of mind gaming there, but mind gaming themselves as Claudia actually almost vaulted into them. Keen-eared viewers may have also heard a good old brutal strength in the mix for the Blight. Not that they need it with the ability to insta-break the pallets with their Blighted Rush. However, looks like they will get the pickup, and this here will be first hook here for the Blight.
It's definitely got to be a rough start for the Blight, because now, in my experience, when I've seen Blight gameplay, and I love watching Blights, whenever you're coming towards these top tier kind of gameplay with Blight, the average Blight should keep their runs between 30 to 40 seconds. Get it down, hook, move on. Keep pressure on the gens, keep things going. A very good Blight will keep their chases down between 20 to 25 seconds, which are usually only those top tier players, kind of when you start to see like Osaka or B1 or things like that, when you start seeing them go. So it's going to be definitely a tough game for this Blight as he comes through, because it already shows it's already leaning more into the survivor side with the start being a little bit tougher for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I will mention, though, Blight with Pop Goes Weasel in hand will regress the gen there that Nick Cage was working on by 30% of its current progression. I think they were thinking about potentially gen tapping there to stop the regression. And looks like Blight actually going to be leaving the gen in its entirety, as we do see a deliverance here from the Nancy as they are off the hook and broken. Blight looking to progress them to second stage, but I think this is going to mean that we're going to see like 3 gens pop in just 1 second.
Absolutely, and so this is where from what I've seen on this Blight and how he's been playing, I can see them getting either a 4K1 or maybe a 4K12, basically where all the gens are popped. It's going to be a tough one because this Blight he's got the bump logic. You can see him going, but it seems like there's just a little bit that he's missing with each bump connected.
Yeah, and that there is the win condition gone. Tie condition is now met. We see Survivor here waiting in the wings for the unhook. There's Nia, Nick Cage on a gen. Looks like the only one to be on one, though. So about 90 seconds before the win condition is potentially met. We see actually 2 survivors here, both the Claudette as well as Nia, kind of just hanging out. Looks like Claudette will jump on a gen. I imagine they are splitting this. Looks like they are. Nick Cage on the other side of the map. We do see Blight with that cane right above the tiles, making a rush over for the gen kick. Once again, a Pop Goes Weasel going to regress that by 30% of its current progression. Blight not going back for the unhook, though. A little bit of a dangerous play, as I imagine we're going to see 3 survivors jump onto the same gen in just 1 second. So, it's going to be interesting. We do see Eruption there, regressing the gen by 10%. And yeah, if we take a look at these gens, there's Claudette with Deja Vu, 6% additional progression speed, and then actually it looks like they're not working on gen, instead doing a little bit of a reset. So only 1 survivor on gen at that point in time. It
definitely at the moment is on the survivor side, Guilt. I think it's a good call healing them up. Having that 1 survivor be killed, even on 1 gen, can still put this into the killer side. And so it looks like they're trying to be careful. Like I said, honestly, with a lot from what I've seen from this Blight, I'm pretty confident that these survivors are at least going to get three people out. It looks like they have experience. It looks like they've been grinding out the Blight practices, but I honestly, at this point, I can see them getting a 3-man out.
Yeah, it is very likely. Do want to note, though, that Nancy now in chase and injured. They are 1 stage away from him being sent back to the campfire via the entity. So if the Blight does get this down, it does put them into a little bit of a better position. Though it looks like they will, in fact, drop that chase instead. We do see Nick Cage kill themselves there with that medkit. Blight kind of moving around. Looks like they might... Not sure actually where the Blight is in comparison to everyone else. Looks like they're on the Nia, actually, over here on the pocket of the map. Nia going to make their way over towards Shaq's side, trying to make use of this pallet, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. With the situation they're in, that Nia knew that they were stuck. Honestly, that may not be the person that he was wanting to get down, but it's definitely at least something he desperately needs to remove his kill. Who is that? I believe that's Shin, he needs to be able to remove him to add pressure to try to push things in his favor, but at the moment it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Blight, just unable to find the Nancy before too long. Claudette kind of getting a little bit of distance there as Blight was forced to pop the gen or to otherwise lose it. Blight actually going to be dropping Chase though. Instead, I think going back towards Nia's gen and finding the Nia as well. Like we said earlier, the win condition here for the Survivors is just to complete the 5th generator, and they will have secured the win in set 1. Yeah, going to be bringing the Blight over towards Shaq, redropping the Shaq pallet.
That's always a good call, and there is the they almost had him Pluto tech.
Yeah,
but I always love watching that.
A really smart heads up play there from the Nia, almost getting the Blight out of their Blighted Rush, but at the very least still delaying them enough to where there can be some additional pressure on these gens. Claudette will take that hit, though Overcome coming into play, giving them a little bit of extra distance.
You know, Overcome is one of those perks that I feel doesn't get as much attention as it does. Because like it's usually general ban like everywhere, and so a lot of people are always like, well, Overcome's not all that great, but I'm like, look, if I want to get out of dodge and get some distance and hide or do whatever I need to do to buy some time, Overcome is just amazing. It is absolutely my favorite exhaustion when it's allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Blight, though, going to be interrupting the Nia here. You want to mention that the win condition has been met with that 5th gen completed, so that will be Torment walking away victorious here in set number 1, irregardless of how many survivors die at this point in time. But given that there are 4 survivors up, I imagine we're looking at the very least a 3, if not 2-man out. We'll have to keep in mind that Exit Gate's now powered. Looks like this one is 99. Claudette also open up there, so yeah, looking like they will secure the 3-man out here, and that there will be the win for Torment with a few extra points on top of which to shore up any potential tie conditions in set number 3.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun watching this Blight play, but I can see a bright future for him if, you know, in the future, but definitely had some hiccups at the start of it. I felt that it kind of decided the end of this game.
All right, and we are back for set number 2, trial number 3, Tremor killing against Torment Survivor Team, and play gonna be moving around, vomiting on all of the generators that they can see.
I always love watching these. Oh man, it's just it seems like anytime you watch a killer play this, it's a lot of the popular, it seems like we always see him going and of course vomiting on popular like vaults, things in that nature, but I don't know, it's definitely going to be interesting. I haven't seen a good Plague in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Plague can be really hit or miss at times, and we've definitely seen Plague perform very well in COTF, but it comes down to the individual player. However, Plague now in chase with Nick Cage, dragging him over towards the fun bus. And looks like Nick Cage will get infected there, just barely getting hit. And looks like Plague going to be satisfied with that as they are now going to drop chase.
Now, in your opinion, Guilt, what's your thought process on a Plague? Like, do you just get them infected and have them and move on? Do you push it and force them to go into that next stage? What are your thoughts on the killer?
I think given that you have a ton of time at the very beginning with Corrupt Intervention, I think even more so if you use, obviously, like the amulet to increase infection time, I think it makes a lot of sense to take your time, not get any downs, force the virus to make a choice of get infected on the gens, or to, you know, not, and that gives you just time to kind of meander around, infect some survivors here and there, and you're kind of just locking up the game for those first 2 minutes, first 90 seconds or so if you do have the right add-ons. Like you're not bringing any, you know, extension on the infection time, instead bringing double apple, and looks like we will see Nia here at the tile doing a great job of kind of linking Fun Bus with this tile here, and I think they will be able to extend this pretty far.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting with the double apple play. Um, I'm kind of curious how this is all going to play out because Plague is a very slow killer, right? Like you're gonna set things up, you're gonna infect, you're going to be a territorial killer. And now with Corrupt Intervention gone, it's going to kind of open up those gates to see how this killer juggles everything and how the survivors try to counter everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like Survivor's taking their time, not looking to cleanse just yet. Nick Cage is kind of sticking away from where the Plague is on the opposite side, more towards Shaq's side as of right now. We do see another survivor here. Looks like it is, in fact, the Nancy, who will get found out, trying to make their way around this tile. Do you want to point out that we did see a snapshot or there, that of which being from Rancor?
I always love a good Rancor play because it changes almost everything. You could have a whole set plan at the beginning, and then you see when you got Rancor, you just start changing everything up. But and not only that, but now you kind of see it a little bit differently for what the killer is doing. But it's kind of things are looking a little tough for this Plague because survivors have now popped 3 gens. They have 2 remaining. It's still anyone's game, but it looks like things are going to start snowballing really fast onto the survivor end.
Yeah, I mean, Survivor's completed 3 gens for what it's worth for, exchanging 1 hook and a hook stage as well. But Plague now, with their power in hand, pretty much secures the kill. The question then remains whether or not Survivors are able to complete these 2 gens by the time the kill is secured. Nancy on 1 gen. We did see Nick Cage in the back of main with Deja Vu as well. So I don't think they'll be able to complete these 2 gens before the Survivor progresses to death. We now see Nancy on a separate gen as well. Claudette still kind of hanging out. I think they need to cut their losses with that Corrupt Purge in the Plague's hands and just try and get another gen cranked out as quickly as possible.
I agree. It looks like the survivors are playing it really safe. They're going to play things slowly. It doesn't look like they're taking any chances. They don't want to lose their foothold they have right now. But this Plague is trying their best to make the best out of a bad situation. They have the Corrupt. They have their things. They're hoping to snowball this using their power, but it doesn't look like these survivors are going to make a mistake for her to capitalize on.
No, but we do see Nick Cage there, scratch marks leading the Plague to them, but Plague looking to potentially go elsewhere instead of trying to infect these generators and potentially force survivors off it. We do see Nancy here now, Nancy in chase, and looks like they are going to bring us further in towards the shack, but Plague drop and chase once again, instead going to go for the kick, progressing this gen by 2.5%, followed by 0.3% per second thereafter. Claudette over here with the Plague. Not sure if the Plague has seen them just yet. Plague gonna get the quick kick, and no. Looks like Claudette will get away scot-free.
That's tough. You saw the killer go right by Claudette. You don't. The way she's playing, it's tough to see. It's tough to say whether she saw her or whether she just kept going. And I'm not 100% sure what happened there because at this point, it could be just the killer trying to be more territorial to protect the 3 gen, or panicking because gens are flying. She doesn't have a chase, but it looks like now she is in chase with the Claudette. Claudette now taking a hit from Corrupt, almost going down immediately thereafter with a cheeky play through the window.
Yeah, that was kind of insane. I could have sworn that hit, but with the logic from the vomit projectile logic, just not landing it through the window. Really close play there. Do you want to point that, Claudia, with that lucky break in hand, almost tripping up the Plague there as they nearly got away. However, Plague will get this first hook and another Scourge Poke. Pain Resonance coming in, regressing most progress gen by 25%. Looks like Nick Cage on the other side of the map once again with Deja Vu. Potentially leaving a bit early, thinking that the Plague might be approaching. But looks like they are still on Shaq's side as of right now. Nancy over on main side as well, just kind of trying to set up. Not sure what their plan is as of right now.
It's kind of tough at the moment because she's probably panicking on the front that they only have 1 gen remaining. It looks like they're pretty spread out. She has to bounce between them all. She has 3 survivors, 1 on hook. It's still anyone's game, but at this point, even if she gets the 4K at 1, that's still manageable. That's still manageable for the other team to win in the next set. So, but looks like the killer did see Ivan. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be the case. We do see that unhook on the Claudette, and now it is Plague with that Corrupt Purge. We're going to see that pre-drop from Nick Cage, trying to do their best to avoid the Corrupt Purge, but Plague will get them down over the tile there, and looks like that there will be the first hook for this Survivor, meaning another Scourge Hook Pain Resonance coming in. We do see Claudette working on this gen, about 50% in. I think it will be the one that does get hit here in just one moment. Sure enough, there it is, bringing it down to about 25%. It looks like these late game Scourge Hooks really putting a lot of pressure on these Survivors.
Yeah, Scourge Hook, even with it being nerfed down, is still definitely comes in clutch, especially when you play it perfectly to hold certain hooks for the end game. I'm not sure if she intended for that to be that way, but it definitely did come in clutch. It definitely brought down. Came in pretty close there, but it kind of leaves you wondering what this killer's going to do. There's 2 Survivors out. One's possibly going for save. One should be on a gen. It's going to be a slow end of the match, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go in favor of the killer.
Yeah, definitely would seem that way. Plague gonna be going for Nancy once again, trying to get a fresh hook here in order for another Scourge Hook Pain Resonance proc. And looks like Nancy will bring him to this tile here. Keep in mind, Plague does not have their power, so they are an M1115 killer, though. Will be tough to say if it will matter, as Plague gonna be reducing resources here. I want to say this pallet here still is upright. Yeah, we do see that with that windows of opportunity. Plague once again gonna be getting a break. Nancy trying to make their way to the next pallet. We do see that windows of opportunity really coming in clutch here for the Nancy, but Plague going to be able to get them and will get that down. We do, however, see Survivor still on the gen, and Nick Cage primed with the exit gate. So this is looking like, at the very least, a one-man out.
That's what I always love about these games, man. They always think to go any way. One man, when it looked like it was going in the killer's favor, they get the last one. Now someone's at the gate, and you're absolutely right. Looks like it should be at least a one-man out, but it still could be anyone, any situation could still happen.
Yeah, we do see the exit open. EGC started about 4 minutes on the clock before the entity will take these Survivors. Claudette kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere, except for the fact of Hatch. Right now, Play's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can't really commit to the Claudette, because if they do, then Nick Cage is going to go for the unhook. But if Nick Cage exits the exit gate as the Survivor dies on hook, then Claw's going to be able to get the Hatch. So it's looking more and more like it's actually going to be a 2-man out here, unless the Plague makes a strategic choice here soon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. She is definitely not in a good situation right now. She's doing. I mean, at this point, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. They know what's coming. It's just going to be an unfortunate situation for the killer.
Yeah, it really is. And yet, we see them progress to the second stage. Claudette will, in fact, end up with the cleanse. We see the push out there by Plague on Nick Cage. I imagine we're going to see this. We're going to see Suicide out, and last but not least, the Claudette here will escape via the hatch for the 2-man out. So, really, really well played there by both teams. And with that being said, all right, and we are back for what could be the final trial of this match, as Torment is killing against Tremor's Survivor team. And as we stated just a little bit ago, they need a 2K9 hook in order to secure victory here in set number 2. Definitely a very achievable result. However, we'll have to wait and see what Blight does as we're doing a little bit of Loop of Friends between Zarina and Claudette. Zarina taking the hit there. I imagine the Blight will pursue further as Reno will use Light to get a little bit of extra distance. Though Blight seemingly going to drop Chase instead. Trying to decide between going for the Claudette and going for the Zarina. Looks like they will drop back to the Zarina here. Blighted Crow and Blighted Rat for the Blight, getting them a little bit of extra speed as well. And Zarina will go down to them with that Blighted Rush around the corner. Survivors doing a pretty good job so far. We see 2 gens about at, no, only 1 gen about 75%. What are your thoughts here, Taco?
Oh, well, honestly, this Blight, that was a really good down, a really good choice. Honestly, I think they made the right choice when they went after the Zarina. Getting that down is basically setting the pressure and the pace of the match. He didn't waste time. It was about a good 35, 40 seconds. None of the gens popped. It basically let everyone know that this Blight is here to play. They'll be lucky to get 3 gens before things start snowballing into his favor.
Yeah, I mean, the Survivors, though, doing a great job. A really slick play there by the Renato, avoiding that Blighted Rush by the Blight there. And looks like Renato will be able to try and make their way up towards the hill again, trying to abuse the Blighted Rush against Blight. Blight, though, doing a great job maintaining calm and focus as they will get that hit there on Renato.
Yeah, Blight said not again. Not a second time. This time he showed that patience. That Blight bumped and then went off the hill and then caught him on the edge. This Blight definitely does have his bump logic. If nothing else, he can pick up very quickly on where to go. Not only that, he knows when to walk someone down. That he's basically checking off everything for a very strong bump logic Blight.
Yeah, 1000%. Blight, though, going to be finding the Zarina here. I imagine kicking this gen. We did reveal earlier that they do, in fact, have a Pop Goes the Weasel. What we did not mention is that they also have an Eruption, which we did see there just moments ago. So Blight probably going to be reapplying Eruption there, as well as regressing that gen by 50% of its current progression.
Yeah, it looks like we have everyone busy, one on hook. At this point, you have to wonder if it's worth even going for the save, or if you're going to have to just double up on gens, get as much as you can done, because of this Blight's gameplay level, you really just want to get, but then again, it's not like a normal Blight game right now. They have to get to a certain point to get the win. It's definitely going to be tough for them to get to that point, because this Blight is not holding back. He's definitely got that comp knowledge. Good game sense. He knows where people are going. He predicted where that Claudette was going to be. I haven't seen Blight be this savage since I've seen Pedro and Osaka play.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We will see the down on the Claudette, and we'll have to wait and see if the Blight is able to continue this amount of pressure, as they will be rushing across the map. Looks like they are planning on playing the entire map through and through, and not seeing any wavering here from the Survivors, as right now just kind of hanging out in the wings around the Blight here. Blight looking around, going towards Shaq. Renato, she's going to be jumping on the gen right nearby, so no hesitation there, as we do see the unhook there from the Claudette. And Nancy, Zarina kind of close by to the Blight. We hear that killer instinct, and looks like they have in fact found Zarina.
I just noticed that this is Ivan playing Blight. That makes complete sense now.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely playing quite well. We did see that Life coming into play once again, getting the Zarina a little bit of extra distance. Blight trying to mind game here at the tiles. Zarina trying to breathe the pallet, but Blight comes swing through it and ends up getting the hit.
Oh man, I'm not saying that's a bad play, but that is definitely risky. You're gambling a lot on the fact that you're going to be able to get through that pallet. It can be very rewarding if you get it, but in a situation where you're playing a Blight of Ivan's capacity, considering how well he plays on 50-50 tile predictions, fillers, I would have 100% personally comp dropped that pallet, but that is then again, I'm just a taco. It's definitely gonna be a tough situation for these survivors with how good this Blight is.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like 2 survivors right now are going to be working on Jen's arena, trying to get to a pallet before their BT does end, but dropping a pallet on the wrong side. And looks like they will take that Blood Rush arena, trying to go for the vacuum pallet. And unless there's a flashlight blind here, no, a decisive strike, in fact. I was going to say, Zarina's going to be sent back to the campfire via the entity. Now we have Nancy going to be trying to body block, keeping Zarina in the match. As we mentioned earlier, the win condition here for the Blight is a 2k9 hook. So they need to get a survivor out of the match as soon as possible. And once they do, they're in a position to do so. But survivor's not going down without a fight. 2 gens remaining at this point in time. And looks like Blight trying to mind game the tile here will successfully do so. Amazing mind games from the Blight. Gain some distance there. It doesn't look like there are any survivors nearby to save the arenas this time round. Those survivors will complete their 4th generator 1 gen away before the X gates are powered, and looks like Blight will end up going for the Renato here. Renato trying to make use of the generator, but Blight just being too on top of things, getting the hit. And now Renato on for the run of their life. However, Blight is just going to be able to M1 them down here. I don't think there's any real resources. A dead hard, though, coming in from the Renato. A little bit of a strategic play here by Renato, extending the chase into a bit of a weaker positioning.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to buy a little bit of time. These survivors, I'm sure it's going to be, it's tough to kind of say where things are going, because this Blight, it has very strong game knowledge. He knows where things need to be. These survivors are doing their best. They're hitting gens. They're pre-leaving. They're doing everything they need to. But at this point, it's kind of how much can you get done, or how much can you do to secure your win over a Blight of this skill level.
Yeah, that is the question of the day. We do see that unhook on the Renato, and we do see the breach up there from the Claudette. I mean, at this point in time, right, we're looking at the score here. Claudette is, interesting enough, not the survivor that you want to find, because if you found the Nancy here and just camped them out to death, that actually would have allowed the Blight to secure the win condition here, where right now, Blight is still a little bit off if they do get the down on the Claudette, so Blight having to be very careful here, lest they do let this win condition slip through their fingers. You see Blight rushing around this gen here about at 30%. Claudette going down out of the blue. I thought they had since evaded the Blight, but apparently not. And this is going to mean that they need to... I mean, I guess at this point, if they do kill Claudette, they still need to hook the Nancy in order to avoid a tie. Nancy here on this gen about 50% away from completing it. With the Blight now finding them, they are going to need to go for the tunnel out and camp here. But Blight, okay, I was about to say, Blight should not disengage here. This is the survivor they need. Nancy almost dodging that last Blighted rush, but Blight getting the hit in time. Nancy going to go for the pre-drop. The question is, we haven't seen Deliverance. Does Nancy have Deli in hand? Only time will tell, as Blight trying to go for the rush. Will get the down. Amazing play there by the Blight. And we do see 2 survivors looking like on gens on the far side. Blight gonna get the hook. And at this point in time, I mean, if they kill any survivor now, there's a Deliverance. Deliverance right away, right behind the Blight. I imagine Blight gonna turn around. No, not turn around. Instead, going for survivors on these gens. We see Renato and the Claudette kind of scattering. Renato right now the only healthy one. And it looks like Blight has found them, but not before going to kick that gen and apply Pop Goes the Weasel, and I imagine Eruption too. Yeah, at this point in time, a down and a kill will secure victory here for the Blight and Torment. And now it just comes down to whether or not the survivors can hang in there for long enough to complete this with gen and open up an exit gate. Once again, Dead Hard coming in clutch, as they will be able to get the endurance stats effect and get into deep wound rather than getting downed. So Renato going to be dragging them in towards the middle. Blight trying to mind game again. We've seen these mind games be pretty lethal here for the Blight. Another mind game. Renato looking for that red light. Kind of going back and forth, taking a gamble. And it will work out as Blight unable to get that down. Blight here at the tile. Blighted rush. There's the down. But no sign of anyone else nearby.
Yeah, that's definitely... You gotta love it when they do the hand wave, because they know it buys them a second longer. That can be the difference between a gen popping, a gen not popping. Obviously, it didn't work out in their favor this time, but it looks like this is going to be the end. Basically, the match is starting to snowball into the killer's favor.
Yeah, at this point in time, even without the 2K, I believe this here will secure the win. A bit of a vacuum tile underneath the Renato there. And Blight actually going to be dropping Chase again. Blight kind of being all over the place, and it's been working well for them, to be fair. I want to say the Nancy actually was pretty close to completing this generator here, and yeah, looks like they were pretty close, but will get kicked there. Blight taking a quick peek at Nancy, making sure no one's here for the unhook. Renato and Claudia kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere. Claudia doing their best to try and complete this last gen, but I think it is unfortunately all for naught here, as Blight going to be making a rush back over towards main side. Blight seeing them full on, and I think this here will be one of the last chases. Though, no, Blight actually somehow finding the Renato, kind of faking the rush over to main instead, making the way back over to Shaq and getting the Renato. Knowing that Claudia is back there too now, Blight can freely rush over and go for the down end. Ooh, they didn't see the Claudette, who is starting to make their way closer and closer to Shaq's side. I mean, the win condition has been met with that kill on Nancy. And so this will be Torment walking away victorious here in round number 5 of Champions of the Fog Season 9. And while we are going to take a quick moment and play out the remainder of this match, we do want to actually make a quick mention of our announcement yesterday, as we have announced the tournament structure for Champions of the Fog Season 10, where we're going to be having 16 qualifying tournaments that will feed into a 32-team Championship of the Fog. It is going to be mixed regions, however, it will be region locked teams, so if you guys are interested in participating for that, we are going to be opening up registration next weekend, maybe right before finals or right after finals, so keep an eye out for announcement of that. That being said, Blight now in chase for the Claudette. We do see the last survivor, the Renato, down in the basement, just kind of hanging out there, doing some spins, trying to avoid some crows.
He's just being his best self, hanging out.
Yeah,
I always
however,
love seeing it.
Do hear that Terrors get closer and closer. Looks like Renato going to be jumping into a locker to try and avoid the Blight, though. Terrors going away for a moment here. Looks like they are going to be looking around and trying to check every nook and cranny for this Renato, but I mean, who would think that Renato would be hiding down in basement right now? I know that if I was the killer, I would not be thinking that as much, but Blake going back for the Claudette will get that pick up there. and will secure the 3K here for the Blight. And yeah, even if Renato were to escape with 1 additional point, robbing the Blight of 1 as well, so a 2-point difference in favor of the survivors, it just is not enough for it to matter. And so Blight gonna rush back over towards Shaq's side. Renato trying to set up for the hatch escape, but Blight's gonna be here with time to spare to get the down and the pickup before the hatch even spawns.
Yeah, you know, that had to be... it would have been cheeky for him to get it, but either way, it really, like you said, wouldn't have made a difference. I'm sure he just was doing everything he can going out. You got to have respect for people who, you know, even though they know that it's over, they're just going to put their heart into it and try to go out champion.
Yeah, absolutely. But that there will end the match.